Guys, no. No. The stream that was supposed to be 11 hours crashed. So I'm gonna be doing a quick like 1 hour stream here. I guess showing videos down in the bottom left corner makes it crash. Oh shoot. Oh shoot, guys. I just realized something. I messed up. Just realized something. Oh man, now I gotta fix this. This is gonna suck. This is a couple minutes. This is gonna take a couple minutes to fix. I guess I don't even need to fix it. I'll just. Yeah, it'll be full screen for you guys, but. Well, on the bright side, now I can do another 11-hour stream. I'm only kidding. But I do want to keep watching videos on the side, so that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Though the sky is not the limit for gold prices, it is exciting to see gold break yet another record high today. And there's two reasons why gold price has climbed so much. We'll discuss it in this video as we explore.
Yo, no.
Well, there's likely more than two reasons, but we're going to talk about the two biggest reasons as well as other things in the gold market. But before we get there, I'm going to be reporting from the latest of the prices for gold and silver moments before the markets close. Silver had an exciting day as well, too. Earlier in the day, it got up to $32.24. That was the high. It is up 20 cents right now, up 0.62% to $31.75. But gold, it just scraped past to reach a new all-time high of $2,684.80 earlier in the day. It now rests up $11.10 to $2,674 per ounce. Both platinum and palladium also made moves up above $1,000 a day, both trading at or near 1%. Fascinating to see the markets move as the way they are, and now we are seeing it and know some of the reasons why, because, well, folks are nervous. Fear is driving the markets right now. Bloomberg is reporting that gold has rallied towards fresh record highs as investors turn their attention to the upcoming U.S. election, with polls forecasting a razor-thin contest with less than 3 weeks ago. And 3 weeks ago is not that far away, although at the same hand, it is also an eternity in the world of elections and what could happen, what could move the needle one way or the other. And it has the markets nervous. And it just goes to show you that, yes, indeed, as much as geopolitics has played a role, where right now today's movement and gold's price especially is centered on the domestic political front here. Gold is one of the strongest performing commodities in 2024, setting successive records thanks to its appeal as a safe haven asset and as central bank buying has increased and picked back up yet again this month. Now it's finding fresh support as investors across financial markets reposition their portfolios in response to uncertainty over the outcome of the U.S. presidential race. The polls indeed are tight. There's no question about that. And it could go either way. And, and that's one of the things when we think about it, it seems like over the last few election cycles, and really for as long as I can remember, it seems like it's always been very...
Welcome home, boss. The digs are yours now. Hope you like the look. Coulter had some peculiar tastes. But this view is something, huh? Everything you see here is under your control, now that you're in charge.
I still don't get it. Why put me in charge?
You may have noticed that our former overboss, Coulter, was a fucking asshole. And that's me being nice. Ended up being poisoned for this whole operation. The way I see it, surviving the gauntlet means you've got what it takes. Or at least the potential. For a good while now, we've needed someone who can get shit done, make real progress.
I sure do like the sound of that.
I thought you might. Look, I'll be honest with you. This operation needs someone to step in and take the reins. Sure as hell ain't gonna be me. Leading outright ain't my style. And there's already some blaming me for supporting Coulter all this time. My talents are best put to use helping a new overboss get all this shit under control. You get me?
What sort of talents would you say you have, Gage?
Aside from being a good shot and having a foul mouth, I've run with gangs nearly my whole life. I know how raiders think, what they're after, and how to use that to your advantage. Trust me, I'm in this just as much as you are. This shit needs to work out.
I hear you, Gage.
Good. I know I'm throwing a lot at you all at once here. Let's take a step back and talk big picture, okay? Nuka World. Shit. This was the dream. Huge. Built like a goddamn fortress. You run this, world is yours. We had a good head start on it. A lot of work went into getting the disciples, the operators, and the pack to work together. But we got here. About a year ago, we pushed in through the front gate. Take over Nuka Town. Get these traitors under our thumb. And then, well, Coulter got lazy. He was content to sit on his ass. Never bothered putting in the effort to finish taking over the park. The gangs got restless and started pissing each other off. It was... is a real mess.
I can fix this. I can make this work.
Yeah? Man, I sure hope so. You know, I've heard of you and that institute of yours. Some pretty shady stuff you all are up to. Guess I already know you're willing to do whatever it takes to get what you want, though. Look, I know these gangs. Been working with them or against them for years now. I'll help you, okay? Walk you through everything. First thing you gotta do is get the gangs behind you. Without them supporting you, you're not getting shit done. You don't have to trust them. Hell, you don't even have to like them. But you need them to respect you enough to follow you.
Have any advice for how I should go about it?
Yeah, all right. The disciples like violence. The bloodier, the better. Tell them they'll get plenty of it. The operators are in it mostly for the money. They get promised caps, they'll listen to you. The pack, yeah, I don't know. They follow whoever they think is the strongest. Show some teeth, I guess.
They'll listen if they're all afraid of me.
Okay, settle down. Most of these psychos have seen shit that'd scare your nightmares. You're not gonna be that easy to intimidate. Look, technically, you're already the new overboss, right? That's like half the work done right there. Just meet the leaders. Talk with them. Flex your muscles a little. Show them you mean business.
Okay, let's do this.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. You just need to show them you're the right man for the job. I'll be here if you need me. You are the overboss after all. Just don't screw this up.
Okay. Of course, we gotta meet with the gang bosses. Damn, why did they put me in charge of everything? In charge of the Minutemen, in charge of the Institute, now I'm in charge of this place. The only place I wasn't in charge of was the Brotherhood. Well, and I guess Railroad, but that doesn't count. That was like a small group. This is another big place.
close. It's really got the markets nervous, and they're in past election cycles. Days like this, probably not unusual to see, but with gold already trading at record highs, it's just up a bit more now because of it. The dollar has rallied on Tuesday after Republican candidate Donald Trump said in an interview with Bloomberg News that he would raise tariffs sharply, cut taxes and regulation, and seek more direct consultation with the U.S. Federal Reserve. Meanwhile, in options markets, traders are more focused on the Fed's interest rate cuts and the health of the U.S. economy, according to market analysts. So the U.S. Federal Reserve is that second thing. When we think about what they are going to do at their November meeting, it has people thinking and wondering what's going to happen because we just don't know. But it seems like more and more people are falling in line thinking that the Federal Reserve is going to continue their rate-cutting cycle. And by a quarter point, 94.2% of participants say that the target rate probabilities of a Fed rate cut into down a quarter point is what is going to happen. Only 5.8% say it's going to stay the same. And that obviously does reflect, in the probabilities and statistics and what the sentiment is. A rate cut is generally good for gold and silver as well, too. Silver tends to follow gold in that area, but they have pulled back a little bit today. We anticipate uncertainty and volatility to rise until the administration is settled in. And that is for sure. That volatility has already played itself out today as they maybe realized it was an overreaction in the movement of precious metals earlier in the day. Now, they advise that gold and oil can be an effective portfolio of hedges, and that is something to think about. That's what UBS Group AG analysts have said. The prevailing view of Wall Street economists is that Trump's trade policies will ultimately support the dollar, since import tariffs would stem the currency's flow overseas and potentially drive up inflation and interest rate. A prolonged trade war also stands to weigh on global risk sentiment, further supporting the Haven greenback. Such a scenario could create a crosswind for gold. The asset tends to do well in an inflationary environment in periods of geopolitical turmoil, but can suffer when the dollar is strong and interest rates are high. Over the past year, elevated Fed rates have done little to slow gold's breakneck ascent to consecutive record highs, and for now, many investors are betting that the pivot to looser monetary policy and an accompanying slowdown in the U.S. economy growth will help fuel further gains. Yes, and I think that's going to happen too. And looking in some ways, it kind of doesn't matter who's elected in that regard, but it just depends on what the.
Not some little greenie Gage dragged in.
We're giving him a second chance. Gage screws this up, he knows we'll skin him alive. So shut up and be
What
patient.
about you, big guy? Nothing to say on the matter?
As long as he doesn't get in my way, don't much care.
Yeah, figured as much.
Both of you just get out of here. And make sure the others get the
The
message.
new OB, huh? I reckon you're here to talk to Nisha. She's in charge.
Don't look like much to me. If you want to talk to Nisha.
Hey there.
So, you're Gage's little pet project.
Pet project? What's that supposed to mean?
Gage didn't say anything. Apparently, we're not good enough to run this place ourselves. Gage wanted to bring in his own little puppy to replace Coulter. But I guess training a puppy is way easier than getting us to do what he wants.
Last I checked, I'm the overboss.
You survived the gauntlet, you killed Coulter, with Gage's help, of course. So sure, you're the overboss. But that title hasn't meant anything for a long time now. If Gage thinks that'll change overnight, he's dead wrong. Everyone knows we all wanted Coulter dead. Of course, if I had my way, it would have been a slow, painful process. But whatever. Let's get this meet and greet over with. I'm Nisha. I lead the Disciples. We've only got one rule around here, and that's keeping the peace of this alliance. Otherwise, the way we see it, this world stopped caring about rules the moment people started dropping bombs on one another.
What do you mean by keeping the peace?
It means do what you want, but don't get caught. The last thing I need is the operators and Pat breathing down my neck. We can take either of them one-on-one, but I don't like my odds when it comes to double duty. So keep the peace. It's the only rule we need.
This world needs rules. Otherwise, we'll never recover.
Rules are dangerous because people start to trust them. They make you think you're safe, but once you turn your back, you're dead. Coulter thought some sort of rule or code made him untouchable. But he found out he was wrong. The hard way. Although I could give him a little credit. He built the gauntlet, after all. Of course, it was total shit at first. No imagination. But we spiced it up a bit.
How many lives has this gauntlet claimed?
Who's counting? It's at least enough to keep the traders busy. We like to send them in to clean out the bodies whenever things get ripe in there. They don't always make it out alive, of course. The gauntlet never sleeps.
That thing should be shut down. It's dangerous.
Dangerous? People are dangerous. That thing's child's play. Just a bunch of traps and critters. Let's just hope Gage is right about you. He made a lot of promises to get us here. Never followed through. So you better not screw this up, because I'm not about to tolerate another round of bullshit.
I'm the best there is.
Willing to bet your life on that? You see, the disciples don't make empty threats. We make good on them. We aren't swayed by caps like those spoiled brats obsessed with their hair, or those savage animals who can't behave in public. Fuck this up, and I will kill you. Although, I admit I have even better plans for Gage. But if you support us and keep your promises like a good little overboss, we back you. You get to live, and everybody wins.
I don't make promises, and you'll do what I say.
Looks like you're already a step above Coulter. We'll see how this plays out. For now. But if you change your tune and decide to play nice, there's no shortage of work around here. So, if you're looking to prove you've got what it takes, you know where to find me.
Forecasts and what the market will anticipate coming with either administration. It's going to play a role. It's really difficult, but with banks continuing, central banks continuing to accumulate gold, well, that's going to be a strong driver as it has been for the past year. And gold is expected to climb to record highs over the next year, according to a survey of the bullion industry at a major annual gathering. Delegates at the London Bullion Market Association event in Miami expect the precious metal to rise to $2,917 an ounce. By late October of next year, that's a very specific number. We may report on that later. Spot gold was 0.6% higher at $2,679.20 earlier at 11 a.m. But then it got to a record in the futures market of $2,685.58 that was set last month. And of course, that was the futures, and it's now reached higher here today. All precious metals are higher, with silver pacing gains with a 1.3% rise. And it is fascinating to see when gold does this. And part of us thinks that there's no stopping it. But we keep in mind, sooner or later, something's got to give somewhere in the gold market, and it very well could, and we could see prices fall back down. I mentioned this before, that it's very exciting to see, and I'm excited too, but remember, what goes up must come down, at least to some extent, at least come down to a level of reality, in other words, where normalization should be. There's a lot of things propping up gold's price, but we did see a pretty big dip when there was some hint that geopolitical tensions may subside if Hezbollah were to do a truce with Israel. I don't think that necessarily panned out, so gold prices are hovering back up again. If we do find ourselves in a situation where there is a real serious threat or full-out World War III, well, all bets are off the table. We could see gold continue to climb up in price. Notwithstanding, bullion banks, the big bullion banks out there, the central banks are buying gold, and they are continuing to do so, and that's likely not going to stop anytime soon, even if prices continue to go up. In fact, if it does, it'll just piggyback on more a revolving door of increased prices because of increased demand. And that demand means that they're holding this gold in their portfolios, in their vaults rather, and those vaults indeed will store that gold for them. It is treasure. Gold does not pay dividends, but it exists for what it has been for thousands of years. That is an attractive thing for central banks and for us too as holders of this metal. Precisely because it's treasure, it doesn't pay dividends. That is why it is so high. Because what does the dollar do? Well, the dollar decreases in value over the long course of time. In fact, you can bank on it, pun intended there. It will continue to fall, and it does do something. There's no question about it, and it's usually to the downside. It's a losing proposition for the dollar. But it is a stable proposition for gold over the long course of time. Central banks know it. Most of you watching this video know it. And if you don't, think about it. Think about the history of gold and what it's been about. This channel is about providing not only news and information in the world of precious metals, but also videos that talk about the fundamentals of what gold is about and has been throughout its history. And so it makes me all the more glad that got a little bit of gold here, and it's never too late to start, never too late to stack, to have a little bit of gold, to empower yourself against the powers that be, mainly central banks.
True. That's very true.
Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Hope you're doing well. So this is a bit of a warning to all of you silver stackers out there. The paradigm in the silver market just shifted in a very significant way, and we haven't seen this reflected in the price action of silver yet, but big changes are afoot, and a lot of this has to do with what Russia just announced regarding silver, and this represents a major change in how the world views this precious metal. So let's get to it. Did you know SD Bullion is giving away a monster box?
Oh, no copyright music. No copyright music. No.
Okay, so the big change in silver that we just witnessed is that Russia has announced that their state fund is going to begin acquiring silver. So they've been buying gold. We know that. All the BRICS nations have been loading up on gold for years now at an accelerated pace following 2022 with the economic warfare and the sanctions. You know, gold is one of these assets that you can hold in reserve. You can take possession of it. Doesn't have a counterparty risk. Doesn't put you at risk of having your assets frozen the way that Russia's dollar and euro denominated assets were frozen following their invasion of Ukraine. But this is the first time that Russia has begun buying silver in their state fund. So according to the Jerusalem Post, they're going to be buying 51.5 billion rubles worth of precious metals next year for their state fund. And it's not just silver, it's also platinum and palladium and some precious stones, a variety of hard assets. I mean, basically they're diversifying the metals that their state fund holds. Why are they doing that now? Well, there's a lot of reasons you can speculate. Maybe it's because gold has simply gotten too expensive. Maybe it's because Russia understands that silver is really a monetary metal. I mean, that is the big paradigm shift here, is that silver, while for most of human history has been viewed as money, it's been used as money, it's been coined, it's been held in reserve for most of history. Silver was valued relative to gold at a much higher level than it is today. For centuries there, the world sort of operated on a 16 or 15 to 1 ratio of silver to gold in a de facto bimetallic system. However, in recent years, silver has become nothing really but an industrial metal, and industrial consumption of silver has certainly accelerated, so much so that now above ground supplies of silver are actually less than that of gold, because yes, more silver gets pulled out of the ground than gold, more of it exists in the crust of the earth than gold, but it also gets consumed, and pretty much all the gold that has ever been extracted and mined from the earth still exists above ground in one form or another, whether it be jewelry, bars, involved in art or something like that. It's recoverable. Whereas a lot of the silver gets put into solar panels, it gets put into electronics, and it ends up in landfills in a completely unrecoverable form. And that's just sort of how silver has been viewed, as like this stuff that you use in a cell phone or a medical device or whatever. I mean, silver's used in thousands of applications, but then you throw it away. And the price kind of reflects that. Silver is about $31 an ounce at the time I'm recording this video. It's hard to name a more undervalued asset. Maybe platinum might be in the running there, but platinum doesn't really have the history that silver does as a monetary metal. And that's what this shift represents, right? Why is Russia buying silver? Well, it's probably because they're viewing it as a monetary asset. It's very interesting that this announcement from the Russian state fund that they're going to be buying silver was about a month before the annual BRICS summit, which is being held in Russia. Russia is chairing the BRICS summit this year, and on the agenda is going to be new financial institutions, maybe a new currency unit, which is rumored to be pegged to gold. And a month before this meeting, they start buying silver for the first time. And what this represents is that the world may be viewing silver once again as a monetary asset. Now, the fact that silver was demonetized was almost kind of an accident of history. It actually had to do with Isaac Newton, who was running the Bank of England at one point, and he changed the artificial peg to silver. He didn't set it right, so what ended up happening was all of the silver basically flowed out of England over the course of the 18th century, and that put England on basically a de facto gold standard. And then the British Empire, being the largest in the world, over the course of the next 100 years or so, by the mid-19th century, all of the major European powers ditched their bimetallic standards and adopted a gold standard. And then the U.S. followed suit as well. In 1873, the Coinage Act of 1873 redefined the dollar as just gold, as being on a gold standard. It omitted any reference to silver. This is known as the crime of 1873, and it was the demonetization of silver. Now, the reason that we still had silver in our coinage, we've got these silver dollars you can see from after that date, had a lot to do with concessions that were made to silver miners in the U.S. We still included silver in our currency, but officially it was demonetized. And now, this is almost 2 centuries later, following the demonetization of silver, now you have got Russia, for the first time, buying up silver as what appears to be a reserve monetary asset. Now, 51.5 billion rubles is not very much. I think that comes out to about 500 million US dollars, give or take. And not all of that is going towards silver, by the way. This is, buying a variety of precious metals. Like I mentioned, they're also buying platinum and palladium. All of that is not going towards silver. And so it's probably not going to be enough to move the needle in any significant way on the silver price. But it's not entirely insignificant. Of course, keep in mind that the entire annual production worldwide of silver is only worth about $31 billion, right? We mine and recycle about 1 billion ounces of silver every year, and at $31 an ounce, well, $31 billion. So it's not an entirely inconsequential amount of purchasing, but the really important takeaway here is that nations around the world, central banks, state funds, they may be viewing silver as a monetary asset once again, and not just as an industrial metal. And that really is a major paradigm shift for silver. In fact, so much so that I think there's a possibility silver, which is still a very important industrial metal and actually growing in importance, as we move towards 5G and AI and smart grids and electrification and all of these high-tech applications for silver are increasing the industrial consumption. As that occurs, if silver is remonetized, this could become the critical asset of the 21st century. If you think back throughout history, every century sort of has a critical asset, right? In the 19th century, it was coal. As the Industrial Revolution took off and steam power was driving everything, you needed coal, whether it be to run your navy or your industry. You needed to have that stuff. And then in the 20th century, that focus shifted to oil. Right? We all know how important oil is. Wars have been fought over this stuff. As high-tech industrialization took place, as automobiles became commonplace, you needed lots of oil. Well, in this century, it could be that as you need, high-tech applications like Samsung, for example, announcing their new solid-state battery, which is going to revolutionize electric vehicles. They're going to start mass producing these things in 2027, only 3 years in the future. This uses a silver carbon material to extend the life of the battery, to make it charge very quickly. And, silver is going to be more and more important for a lot of these high-tech industries. I think there's a possibility this stuff could become the main strategic resource of the 21st century. But even if that doesn't take place, even if it is simply remonetized and these organizations like state funds and central banks start loading up on it as a reserve asset, I mean, you've seen what's happened with gold, right? The BRICS nations, central banks around the world, the Chinese, the Russians, in India, they're buying gold. It's driven the price of gold to new record all-time highs. Just today, gold touched very close to its previous record. It got as high as $26.85. I think it was pennies away from putting in a new record all-time intraday high. So, it's driven the price of gold to new nominal highs, although we haven't taken out the previous inflation-adjusted highs yet. So I think gold has further to run as well. But, if silver gets remonetized, you know how I mentioned that there's less silver above ground than there is gold. And the supply of silver is actually shrinking every year. Industry is consuming more of it than we are producing, and that's not going to change for a while. I mean, you would need to see much higher prices to incentivize enough silver production to get the silver market out of its deficit. We've been putting in 100 million, 200 million ounce deficits for the past 4 years, and again, the industrial use is accelerating. But imagine if these banks start chasing a very limited supply of above ground silver as a monetary asset. Well, the reason this is kind of a warning to silver stackers is if that event takes place, if an announcement is made by the PBOC or by the Indian Central Bank or by maybe some collective BRICS organization that holds assets and reserves, or maybe even Western central banks, get wise and start trying to load up on this stuff, it's going to be an incredible shift in the way that the silver market functions. I mean, this stuff hasn't been a monetary metal for decades, and now if it starts being viewed as one, well, things are a lot different than before. Previously, there were huge above-ground silver stockpiles. The government had large silver stockpiles. Those have all been sold off now. Those are all gone. So if central banks and states begin to acquire silver as a monetary asset, as a reserve, it has the potential to drive the price to new record highs, not just in nominal terms, but in real terms. And your previous inflation-adjusted highs for silver are above $200 an ounce. You
So I think what we're seeing right now in silver with this congestive action in the low 30s is when you break out of this stuff, those two peaks at 50, historical low peaks, 1980, 2011, they're going out fast. Then likely silver's going to gush past those highs before it even pauses. And that'll, of course, wake up the world. You don't even have to look at a silver chart or a gold chart anymore. Just assume they're both going to go vertical. Only this time silver is going to vastly outpace gold. And it's got so much room to do so, to even get back to, quote, what you could call normal levels, that if gold were to go to, for instance, our next level that we think there might be a stumble or a pause is 3,200. Well, if silver reached 2%, we'd be $66.
Michael Oliver, a respected financial analyst known for his work in momentum structural analysis, has been making headlines with his predictions for the future of gold and silver. According to Oliver, the probabilities overwhelmingly favor gold in the current economic environment, making it a prime candidate for significant price increases. He explains that with rising geopolitical tensions, economic instability, and central bank policies that devalue fiat currencies, gold is set to surge as a safe haven asset. The environment is ripe for gold to experience a dramatic rise in value. When it comes to silver, Oliver is equally bullish. He believes silver is poised to follow gold's lead, with the spread between the two metals narrowing as silver outperforms gold in the coming months. Oliver refers to silver as a wild dog on a leash, noting that while it tends to be more volatile, it moves in tandem with gold over time. With silver currently undervalued in relation to gold, he predicts a breakout in silver prices, potentially pushing the metal to $60 or higher as it plays catch up to gold's gains. The recent BRICS meetings have added fuel to these predictions, as the group of emerging economies is reportedly considering a move to revalue gold and silver as part of a shift away from the US dollar. Oliver points out that such a revaluation could further drive gold and silver prices upward, especially as more nations look to gold-backed currencies. This global realignment could act as a catalyst for both metals to reach new highs. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily videos. Enjoy the episode.
The mama.
Excuse me.
Now that I get a closer look at you, not sure I'm buying this new overboss thing.
As long as you care about yourself, you'll do what I tell you.
Ha! You might make it out of here alive after all. Name's Mason, the Pack's Alpha. This here's our side of town. You might be overboss, for now, but I'm the boss of the Pack, and it's gonna stay that way. Long as you don't go forgetting that, we're gonna be fine.
Let's work together, Mason. I'm not interested in ruining your gig.
If that ain't a lie, then things might end up all right between us. Look, it ain't like anyone's broke up about Coulter. Just figured on his replacement being, well, different. Gage says you're the boss now, so you're the boss.
You don't want to be overboss?
If I thought the other gangs would go along, yeah, I'd run this place in a heartbeat. Might have to, if you turn out to be a turd. At least it ain't Mags Black. That freak Nisha. Besides, you can't possibly be worse than Coulter.
I have big plans for this place. You'll see.
Maybe you're the real deal. But we thought Coulter was the real deal, too. He's laying in a pool of his own blood. Don't get me wrong. Coulter was definitely overboss. Not a man to mess with. And things were good in the beginning. Real good. But that was a year ago. Then Coulter went soft. Wanted to take stock in what we achieved.
So what is it you want?
Caps, action, something, anything that's more than the sitting around we've been doing for the last year.
I think you're a bunch of ungrateful children.
Careful there, boss. We ain't ungrateful, just fed up. Sure, this place beats living in the shitholes we had out there. But it ain't the palace of caps we signed up for. Ain't none of us happy, not even the disciples. And they're normally a chipper bunch so long as they're drenched in blood. Things were going to hell fast, but Gage put the brakes on that. Got us together and promised he'd find someone to deal with Coulter.
So what's the real story behind Gage and Coulter?
Hey, I only know what I've heard. Story is that Gage talked Coulter into becoming overboss. And he got you in here, didn't he? Maybe he likes people owing him. Maybe it lets him get things done without getting dirt on his hands. After Coulter went soft, Gage got us behind closed doors and promised he'd get someone to off Coulter. And you did just that. Might have been the whole point of the gauntlet all along.
I'm not Coulter, so that better not happen to me.
Yeah, sure, boss. I get it. I do. We're totally willing to give you a chance. We are. Look, let's cut to the chase. You gonna do right by the Pack? I hear you've been talking to the other gangs.
Be a good dog and do what you're told, or you'll be put down.
Trust me, it definitely won't come to that. One last thing before I let you go. There's always work to do around here, keeping the zoo in order. If you're ever able...
Wait, that's the first time in a long time my persuasion attempt failed. What the hell? I didn't even know it could fail anymore. That's why I didn't save.
So what's the real story behind Gage and Coulter?
Ain't nothing I ain't already told you.
Yeah, see, now it's failing. I got that one last time. I have my charisma at max. I didn't even know it could fail anymore.
So what's the real story behind Gage and Coulter?
Hey, I only know what I've heard. Story is that Gage talked Coulter into becoming overboss. And he got you in here, didn't he? Maybe he likes people owing him. Maybe it lets him get things done without getting dirt on his hands. After Coulter went soft, Gage got us behind closed doors and promised he'd get someone to off Coulter. And you did just that. Might have been the whole point of the gauntlet all along.
I'm not Coulter, so that better not happen to me.
Yeah, sure, boss. I get it. I do. We're totally willing to give you a chance. We are. Look, let's cut to the chase. You gonna do right by the pack? I hear you've been talking to the other gangs.
Be a good dog and do what you're told, or you'll be put down.
Oh there, boss. Not in front of my guys, all right? You got enough to worry about without a dominant struggle inside the pack to deal with. You know what? I think we're not so different, me and you. I want you to have this. Consider it a token of our mutual understanding. And
The problem solver? I don't got any ammunition for it, though.
One last thing before I let you go. There's always work to do around here, keeping the zoo in order. If you're ever able to lend a hand, drop by. Loyalty's a two-way street.
Market. The one holding the leash didn't really drop much, but Silver like I'm gonna jump off a cliff. Well, we made that low. It was Tuesday a week ago. We put out a report and said this is a bear trap. Do not pay attention to this day. At that point, we were down, just above 30, I think it was, in the 30s, low 30s, and it had been, above 32 and 33 even. So we'd had a sharp drop there. So again, the leash went the other way. But if you looked over at gold, it was steady. And what happened? Silver's now back up, pushing toward 32 now. Okay. So now, when we measure the spread of silver versus gold, it's a ratio. We divide the price of silver into gold. And so we get a percent. So silver, if you go back 50 years and plot a bar graph chart, which we did in the weekend report, showing the peak silver to gold spread reading that year, you'll see that in that 50-year period, 21 of those years reached at least 2% level, where silver was 2% of the price of gold. In the 1980 bull market, when silver reached 50, that first time it ever did, it was up to 6.5% of the price of gold. And then it fell back down. And then in the 2011 peak, when silver again reached 50, gold was 1900, silver reached 3+% the price of gold. Silver right now is 1.189% or 1.19%, let's say. The price of gold is very cheap historically in relation to the price of gold. But when you measure the spread technically, week by week or even day by day, and create a momentum chart of it, you can even see it on the spread chart. You get up above 1.3% by much, and you're going to blow a cork. Meaning silver's going to outperform gold vastly. It's going to unleash, technically. And again, we're just below 1.2% right now, and I think there's enough things just above 1.2 to drive you up to that 1.3+% level and trigger this bigger stuff. But if silver went to 2% of the price of gold, again, it's been at 2% 21 of the past 50 years, so it's hardly an excessive thing. And gold, we're even, just 3,000. Okay, 2% of 3,000, you do the math, okay? An all-time new high, $60, okay? And I don't think gold's going to 3,000. A lot of people have that as a working target, some major firms. I think gold's going, the next stopping point will be 3,200. And if silver happened to be 2% then, and the spread broke out, and by the way, when that spread breaks out, it is also a signal that the net price action of both metals is about to go vertical. It happened in 1979 to 80 when the spread exploded. Silver exploded. Gold exploded too, but silver led. And it happened in 2010, latter half of 2010, prior to the rush in silver by April of 2011, when it reached $50 again. The spread broke out. And sure enough, silver price unleashed at the same time. net-wise and versus gold. And we have the same pending situation right now where if we break that spread out, you don't even have to look at a silver chart or a gold chart anymore. Just assume they're both going to go vertical. Only this time silver is going to vastly outpace gold. And it's got so much room to do so, to even get back to, quote, what you could call normal levels, that if gold were to go to, for instance, our next level that we think there might be a stumble or a pause is 3,200. Well, if silver reached 2%, we'd be $66.
In today's news recap, why silver investors should pay close attention to copper. For most investors, gold and silver are inseparable, like peanut butter and jelly or two peas in a pod. This mindset leads them to look at gold for signals on silver's future price movements and vice versa. Although silver's price is indeed strongly influenced by gold, few realize the significant role that copper also plays in shaping silver's price movements. To understand the price relationship between two assets, examining their correlations can be highly insightful. Not surprisingly, gold and silver exhibit a strong correlation. What's particularly striking, however, is the strong correlation between copper and silver. The strong price relationship between silver and copper is clearly reflected in long-term charts of the silver to copper ratio, which has remained remarkably consistent over time, despite periodic fluctuations around the average of 6. The close relationship between silver and copper can be attributed to factors influencing both supply and demand. From a supply standpoint, silver is seldom mined on its own. Instead, it is typically a byproduct of copper and other metal mining such as lead, zinc, and gold. On the demand side, both silver and copper have substantial industrial applications, driving significant industrial demand for both metals. While silver is often grouped with gold, it differs significantly in its demand profile. The majority of silver demand comes from industrial use compared to just from investment. Furthermore, the rapid growth in industrial demand for silver likely explains the rising correlation between silver and copper in recent years. In contrast, gold demand is largely fueled by investment and jewelry, with much of that jewelry also serving as a form of investment, especially in developing countries like India and China. Both copper and silver are far more sensitive to the economic cycle compared to gold. For instance, when a recession looms, both copper and silver prices tend to decline in anticipation of reduced industrial demand. Conversely, when the economic cycle is on an upswing, both copper and silver prices typically rise in anticipation of increased industrial demand. Gold, by contrast, is traditionally viewed as a safe haven asset that investors turn to during times of crisis. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first smash the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video with a stacker. Enjoy the episode.
And a lot of the components there are commodity related, gasoline prices and so forth. And if you go back through history, you'll see times where monetary inflation doesn't help. Well, for example, from 2000 to 2002 or 2007 to 9, where they inflated like crazy and cut rates like crazy, it didn't help. Investors, portfolio managers decided to move that excess liquidity somewhere where they perceived it to be lower risk, better reward. At those points in time, it happened to be T-bonds and gold, 2000, 2007. If you look at T-bonds and gold, they started a launch while the stock market rolled over it. And the Bloomberg, for example, commodity index doesn't really correlate well historically to gold. So, you think gold follows, quote, commodity inflation. No, that's not the case. Commodity inflation is when certain assets, the liquidity created by central banks, move into commodity-related sectors or commodity assets themselves and cause those prices to rise as opposed to, let's say, stock prices. Stock prices have boomed for 15 years. Commodities haven't, but in 2020, late 2020, when gold had already doubled between its low in 2015 to mid-2020, Bloomberg Commodity Index had been going down the whole time. And then when gold went into its range-bound situation, remember after the summer high in 2020, it didn't go up anymore. It was trapped. Bloomberg exploded. Well, gold had already done its thing. Now gold has reasserted itself. By our metrics in March, it said, I'm launching for the next major move. Gold then was around 2,000, silver was just above $25. At that point, in early 2022, when the war began, Ukraine-Russia, in February 2022, late February, in March, April, May of 2022, the commodity markets peaked. They'd already had their run-up before that war event, so they like to blame it on the war event. That wasn't it. It was assets moving into the commodity category. But since then, they had a major correction. Bloomberg corrected about 50% of the way back to its bear market low that occurred in 2020. That low was 58. It went from 58 to 140 and then pulled back to around either side of 100 for the last year. Nothing, just sideways. Its technicals now look like it's going to reassert itself. And if that's the case, it won't take much upside to demonstrate that, to prove that, at least by our metrics. It's going to be joining gold. Now, one of the last times that occurred in a significant way was the late 70s, during the period of, quote, stagflation. That's when gold went from, $100 in summer low of 76, $103, up to $850 by January of 1980, an eightfold move. In that latter part of that move, the Bloomberg and the CRB index exploded with gold. They didn't outpace it, but they followed it. So I think we're about in that same situation right now, where this time around, commodities are actually going to follow gold up. And it'll be one of the arenas, especially if you're a stock investor. Look at the agriculture-related stocks. Look at energy-related, base metal-related. They don't correlate well to the stock market, which is good. And they all look like they're going to be full participants in a commodity upturn here. So it might be a place to, if you want to stay in the stock market, look at those arenas. Back historically and forget.
You can go.
Hey there.
Well, I suppose we all owe you for putting down Colton.
Man was an idiot. Made us all look bad.
A clown stuck in his own little car. I guess we can take some solace in the fact that someone finally gave him what he deserved. I want to know, what did you feel as you did it? When you brought that walking pile of human garbage to his knees?
What were you discussing when I walked in?
Well, you, Overboss. You're an unknown quantity, and we're interested in knowing who we're dealing with.
So we'd like if you answered the question.
Yes. What went through you as you crushed the life out of that oaf?
Bored? Kind of like this conversation, now that you mention it.
Hey, you don't get to talk to mags that way.
It's all right, William. Regardless, Gage's decree means that you're the new Overboss. I suppose we can only hope you work out better than the last one. I'm Mags. This is my brother, William.
Pleasure.
Along with our co-conspirator, Lizzie, we run this crew. Call ourselves the Operators. You'll come to understand soon enough that we are the only gang you should be backing around here, because we're the only ones who see this place for what it is. A temple. A testament to the only thing that matters in this world.
And what's that?
Caps. This place was built for the sole purpose of taking caps out of the pockets of fools. We only joined Gage and Coulter's little menagerie in order to restore it to that goal, though by somewhat more cutthroat methods than I expect its founders intended.
Instead, Coulter had us sitting on our asses for the better part of a year while he lived large in his damn mountain town.
And that means, if you're going to be in charge around here, we'd like some assurances that you intend to bring this place back to its true purpose. And that we're going to get back to robbing folks of their fucking money.
And you want to explain to me why exactly I should be backing the Operators?
Because we dispense with the bullshit. My people aren't commanded by lunatic bloodlust or animal instinct. We are the only rational players around here, and would make valuable allies. So long as we know you intend to get this place back to bringing in caps.
So we want to know what your plan is.
I'm sorry. That sounds like a demand. I'm the overboss around here, and I'll do whatever the hell I want.
Of course, boss.
Whatever you say. So, you're welcome in the parlor whenever you like. Make yourself at home, and if you think you might be interested in running some jobs for us, you just come speak to me. But do take a little time to consider the kind of life we could all have if we put this place back to doing what it does best.
Any operator gets caught breaking a piece, I'll punish him myself, boss. Can't let him think it's all right to get caught.
Understanding the operators ain't hard. We know how to live. The other
Hey.
guys,
Just let me know. Don't mind the clutter.
Mags always saw the potential in this place. She doesn't see it.
If anyone could figure out a good use for it.
Not supposed to hurt the other gangs. No rule against tricking them into hurting each other, though. Mags, William, and Lizzie. All you have to do is hear them speak to know they weren't born into this life. They sure as hell were born for it. I thought about trying my hand at the gauntlet just to see if I could do it. Wasted time now. No one's stopping your performance. Normally have me frisk visitors.
So then I go buy a whole bunch of short-term rentals in these markets, and then I find out my property manager has been doing a terrible job managing them and has been stealing money. And so I gave this guy a lot of opportunities to get this thing turned around because I signed a contract with him. Finally, I was like, I can't wait any longer, man. These properties are bleeding money. He's not putting them on VRBO or Airbnb. They're just trying to generate like in-house leads because their service is so terrible that they don't want a place for the guests to be able to say, the property sucked, because then I'm going to see it. So they're just like hiding them on the places where people book homes. So the revenue is terrible. I finally say I'm taking them back. He says, fine, send me an email telling me that you're taking them back. So I do. And then he hires a lawyer to hit me with a lawsuit for breach of contract. for these properties that are just like he's managing horribly. Well, then I find out through one of his ex-employees that they've been staying at my cabins without paying me, that they're letting friends and family use them, and that they're taking money off the top from maintenance fees. He's just
nasty work.
Yeah, horrible, right? You would think that you would just be like, hey, gig's up, I got caught, take them back. So like all these properties that I went and bought as short-term rentals are performing horribly, and then I figure out why this is happening. So now I'm in a lawsuit with that person where I'm suing them for the damages, and they're trying to sue me for breach of contract.
You got me scared to do Airbnbs, bro.
That's what I'm getting at. I don't want to tell other people just go do it.
Yeah,
right?
hold on.
I kind of got like pushed off the plank by the pirate with the sword and jumped into shark-infested waters, and I've been learning how to navigate those.
And to your point with Airbnb, it gets even worse. Renters are people that rent your spot for a period of time. Guess what they can do? They know that if you get bad reviews, your value goes down. So let's say things break in your house or things become missing, and you say, hey, listen, bro, what happened to this? Well, buddy, there was this and that in your house, or a cockroach I saw. So unless you like get that shit away from me, I'm gonna put a review saying that this XYZ happened.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
So they extort you for pretty much things that go wrong in your apartment or your property. And they say, you know what, if you say anything bad about me or you want to charge me, I'm gonna write bad review on your account. And if you do that too many times,
I'm just gonna do long-term tenants, man.
I wouldn't recommend someone in your position do it until you got nothing else going on. You got an empire you're building here right now. Yeah. Now, the good news is once I get those properties back, I have an in-house guy to manage them instead of trusting a third party.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm also a target because I'm a bigger name. So these guys just think, oh, David's got a lot of money. F him. Let's go after it. He'll just settle. Type of a situation. The in-house person who's managing them, I don't have these problems anymore. But I kind of had to scale to a point that I could afford to hire a guy that makes a six-figure salary to manage all these properties. You can't do that if you buy one or two Airbnbs. You're gonna be doing it yourself for a long time.
Yeah, man, that is a fucking nightmare with Airbnb. And I've always thought to myself, like, the guys that are making a bunch of money on Airbnb, there's no way this is a hands-off thing. Like, you got to be on top of it. Even if you have a manager that's like really good in dealing with it, like, they can only do so much. Maybe they might supervise 2-3 properties, but if you got places in different states, etc.
You know what's scary too?
And then the cleaners too, because the person that manages it, they're just putting the keys there and shit.
So you
gotta have a cleaning squad too, right?
Remember how we were saying that people that do manual labor are in low supply, so they can charge a lot of money?
Yeah.
Cleaners have realized that they are this like pivot
commodity.
Yeah, dude, and they are
charge a lot.
Power hungry demons, man. These cleaners will go in there and just hold you hostage. Because they have so many people asking them for service because nobody wants to clean houses.
So to your point, I got a friend in Texas doing Airbnbs. Now he figured out, right, if he can hire, let's say, foreign cleaning help, it's cheaper. Here's the issue, right? Remember the whole illegal immigrants coming into America thing and doing crimes? Guess what happened? Cleaners, I won't say where they're from, will clean properties, but they realize, okay, at certain times the property's vacant. You know what they would do? They would get a key. Or they get like a way to get in.
Well, they have the code. They have to get in to clean.
Through the back door, or one of the keypads, and they'll let people in to come steal.
Sure.
Or they'll get the person the code and they come in at night with mask and come steal from the property, or from the tenants that were there. When they went outside to like go for a drink or something, which happened to us actually in Dallas. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Someone broke in.
It's like an ongoing crime, bro. But
it doesn't get reported that often. One of my former Bigger Pockets co-hosts that does a different podcast had a property in Newport Beach. Mm-hmm. Got broke into 2 times by immigrants that were in town that had like a whole racket going. They're literally breaking into a house, stealing jewelry and money while his family was home. They're not doing it at night. Like, they go in when the kids are there.
That's fucked.
Yeah, hit his dog with a bat. Cleaned out the master bedroom of everything, and they were gone within like 45 seconds. And this is happening all throughout Orange County, and it just doesn't get reported.
These are the bad things of real estate we don't talk about, that people actually experience sometimes.
Airbnb, man, it's just a risky thing. I mean, I know it was a headache from before, but damn, hearing this makes me say, dude,
you know what else you got? I thought about it, bro. But you know Nicholas, right? My boy Nicholas, bro. He did it for like a year and a half and said, "Yo, I'm out. I'm done."
It's a lot of work.
And you are more susceptible to changes in the economy. So everyone was making money in Airbnb the last 5 years when it was a big party. Well, what happens when inflation starts to hit people? They start losing their jobs. They don't want to travel. You don't see people coming out to like South Florida as often as they were when not everyone's making a lot of money. The revenue of your Airbnb might get cut in half.
Not only that, some cities are like legislating it get banned. Like New York City, if I'm not mistaken, just banned Airbnb, didn't they?
Oh, bro, you want to know what Florida's doing to me right now?
What?
This is going to blow your mind. So there's laws that say I'm allowed to operate a short-term rental in Florida.
Yeah.
It's an awesome state. So I bought here because of that reason.
Yeah.
The cities don't like that DeSantis is forcing them to allow short-term rentals. So I go to apply for the short-term rental permit like a good little boy. They send out the inspector and they go, oh, you know what? It looks like this kitchen was remodeled. And the last time we have on file for a remodeled permit for your kitchen was in 1940. And this is like 30 years ago, they remodeled the kitchen. It looks like people added bathrooms to this thing in the 40s and they didn't get permits for it. Oh, that duplex that you have in the backyard that's been there since 1935, nobody got a permit when they built that. Your pergola over your pool, it's too big for today's codes. So that what happens is they hit you with all these red tags. They shut the power off to the property so that I can't rent it out. I can't sell it to anybody else either because it's been red tagged. Mold starts, it's been 2 years now that these properties that I paid a great price for, bought them right, did everything I was supposed to do. The cities don't want short-term rental operators in their neighborhoods because the constituents complain. The Karens are like, I don't want a short-term rental over here. Yeah. Well, the law says I can do it. But the city found this creative way of locking you up, and you're begging. I will do whatever you want. I'll sell it to someone else. I won't do a short-term rental. Take out the red tags, and you just get stuck in hell. Building department kicks it to planning. Planning kicks it to zoning. Zoning kicks it to the fire department. Fire kicks it to construction. And then you got to go pay tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars to engineers and architects to draw up the plans that you want. These people agree with it, but then these people say, well, if you make that change, now you're going to lose the zoning that you would have had for your duplex. So you got to tear the whole thing down. And then the fire people say you can't tear it down. You're going to have to turn it into a garage. And then the planning people say you can't have a garage there. And you just get stuck in this loop of hell that the city municipalities have put people in.
I have a neighbor in your same situation, bro. He built a 10-unit property in Miami. Key area, beautiful. Parking lot, garage, 10 beautiful units, brand new. Hurricane impact windows, everything, all the nine. Central AC. You know what the city did? Okay, he built his property. Where's your permits? Mind you, he went to the city, right? Mm-hmm. And they gave him permits. Mm-hmm. But something with the waterway under the property, bro, he's fucked. Because now, guess what he can't do? Put tenants in there. And he's saying, they're saying, you want to put tenants in here? You got to pay this big expense for the waterway system, whatever. Bro, you know how much they're charging him?
How much?
Almost $250,000.
And he went through the process like he was supposed to. And someone at the city didn't look at this.
All his money on making a property up to date and up to par for tenants to come move in to make money finally now with investors. He lost the property. He can't pay it.
No one at the city will be held accountable for that.
And they don't care.
There is none.
They don't care. And it's like, bro,
it's a bunch of lazy fucks that work for the city or the state that get paid underpaid and hate their jobs and don't want to push paper along.
And there's no...
You're waiting for some Karen to pass a piece of paper off.
And her job every day is to figure out how to pass it to someone else so she doesn't have to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Government employees are so fucking lazy.
It's scary, bro. It's really scary. Listen, I love real estate, but there's some things in between there that if you're not careful...
This is why, like, Airbnb is a fucking holy shit, man. This is like the Beware of Airbnb episode or something.
But it sounds good.
The name of my podcast is called Real Talk Real Estate because no one on podcast wants to share these L's.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing. You're not going to go pay for a course of somebody. Yeah, it's a horrible nightmare.
You just scared me away.
It's been 2.5 years.
I thought about doing it like once I get like 100 doors, cool. Maybe I'll try the whole Airbnb thing. Now I'm like, fuck that.
It's a headache,
good,
bro.
Man.
One of these properties in Pompano Beach, they basically said that
I got a spot in Pompano Beach too. I had to evict my
Don't
tenant.
piss the city off with it. They told me your garage was converted from a carport to a garage 40 years ago. They didn't get permits. So now we're going to make you tear the garage down and rebuild it again because when it was built, it didn't have the permit. Like they could do this to everybody, but they don't. They go after the people that are applying for short-term rental permits.
Wow.
Because the local politicians like that the people that live in those neighborhoods see that we're not letting these greedy real estate investors ruin your neighborhoods. That's how they stay in power.
With people from up north, etc. Because people understand that Florida is a vacation place, and let's be honest here, Fresh, me and you hate tourists, right? Locals always hate tourists. So,
well, I like some tourists are gross, but go ahead.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
everyone hates tourists when you are actual local.
The overboss returns. Yeah, you're back in one piece. That's a good sign. Everything all peachy with our friendly neighborhood psychopaths? Sure hope you didn't promise them too much. I mean, going a little over the top is part of the game, but you don't want them holding it against you if you can't deliver.
All the gangs are on board.
I knew you had it in you. Time to roll up your sleeves, boss. There's work to be done. This place is huge. Divided up into sections. Parks, whatever the hell they called them back in the day. We need to take them all back, one at a time. Every section we secure gives us a little more breathing room and more resources. You stake a claim, plant a little flag for one of the gangs, and that settles it. It's theirs for good. Who gets what, that'll be your call. Whoever you hand it off to will appreciate it, but the others might get a little jealous. You know how it goes.
It's gonna feel good to be in charge.
Yeah, sure will. Be real nice to have this place all under our control. So that's it. Nice and simple, right? Take a minute. Settle in if you want. And then let's get to it. And hey, we're in this together. So I might as well go all in. You want me watching your back? You just say the word.
Why? What's in it for you?
For the love of... Ain't you been listening? I'm the one that sold this whole idea to the gangs. Shit goes south, it ain't just your head they're gonna want on a stick. I like my head where it is. So if I can do anything to help keep it there, I'm gonna. So, what's it gonna be? We doing this together or not?
That sounds like a great idea, Gage. You've got a deal.
You're the overboss.
Oh, we gotta get rid of Piper? Ugh. Bro, I don't want to team up with you. I prefer Piper.
Hey.
What's up, boss? Okay, boss.
Oh, she's going to Sanctuary. Okay. Bye, Piper. Bye.
Resident, right? There's a reason why me and you don't go to Miami Beach, right?
Facts.
We don't go there for a reason.
Chaos.
So, same thing. Hey, we don't want these fucking New Englanders and these people from California to come here and fuck our shit up, and you know.
Hey guys, after the whole Discord situation today, I think it's best that I not open up another server right away. I'm probably gonna wait for about 1 or 2 months before I try again, because that server got hacked not even a month into its opening, and oh my god, and then a disaster. The truth comes out in the end eventually, guys. The trolls are soon gonna be found out to be wrong. Novine Universe, signing off.
So just the other day, I did that video on Nova Online in his really degenerate Discord server. And you know, Nova is somebody who's like a known internet predator. He's done weird shit in the past, and knowing that he had a server that he was just freely allowing minors into, everybody knew this was gonna end horribly, and it only took about 24 hours for things to really go to shit. You see, because when I uploaded that video the other day, all that we knew was that Nova did have this server, that people were coming out and being like, I'm 14, I'm 16, and knowing that Nova, of all people, was the owner of this server, it made people really worried because they thought it was only a matter of time before either Nova or somebody else in the server did something really weird around all these minors. And of course, just a few hours after the video went live, somebody was in the server in like the video call section, showing off their adult toys and promoting their OnlyFans, and of course this is in the server that Nova freely allows kids to just run around in. And then, shortly after that, a dude whipped out his pecker in there too. So like again, this is the place Nova himself runs that he claims has no NSFW material, yet people are still being exposed to this every single day, and what makes it so much more sinister is this is a place that they could be easily vetting, keeping all minors out of, but Nova is the one who wants it that way. Nova is the one who wants these kids here. Even the mod team that Nova has assembled, they've either left because they don't agree with how he's running the place, or they think it should be over 18 as well. But again, Nova's the one who is just, he's adamant that that is the way this is about to go. And I talked about in the video yesterday that I think he might be keeping all these like minors around because he tries to it's all he tries to talk to. Remember his last co-host on his podcast that he tried flirting with was only 15 years old. And so I think in his mind, he's like, I'm in the right to be doing this. These are just my friends, and he thinks he can say just about anything to them. But like, Nova, you are a 20-year-old man in there with a bunch of 14 and 16-year-olds, and you're allowing them to have a place where they can just freely be groomed upon by people in those voice calls like we're already seeing happen now. And while all this was going on, according to Nova, he was simply taking a nap. And when he got up, he posted this in his server. Now, I know you can already see it on screen, but it is so shocking who Nova decides to blame for all of this. Not himself for facilitating this disgusting server, and not the people inside the call doing that disgusting shit. Just wait till you hear this. Holy fucking shit. Where the Kentucky Fried fuck do I even begin? Oh yeah, I know. Hey, Kiwi Farms, if you're reading this, fuck you, and I hope you burn in the deepest pits of hell. Wow. Wow, that is just a random shot to fire into the dark. Like, man, all these people mess with me all day long, whether it be on YouTube, TikTok, anywhere, but you know who I'm gonna call out? The entirety of the Kiwi Farms, because this is all your fault. You know, Nova's not the one who, like, willingly made this disgusting server. The Kiwi Farms obviously strong-armed him into it. This is a disgusting way to try to get out of the situation he's in, but you're gonna see throughout this entire video, all he tries to do is push away accountability. Yeah, anyways, back to being on topic, the behavior in VC today was absolutely unacceptable, and I'm sorry it wasn't taken care of sooner. I was taking a nap, but we are keeping the server on lockdown for a few days, until all of you can learn how to behave. Everyone who was involved in this NSFW scenario will be banned with no appeal. Once again, I'm sorry you all had to deal with this. Now he's like, all right, guys, I got him out of here. And, you know, in any other situation, if you were like a right-minded individual, Nova, you'd go, hey, maybe I shouldn't let this happen anymore. Considering this is your server that you are the owner of, you could simply hit the delete button and none of this would be happening at all. But no, Nova's like, look, let's get out the bad actors, let's put the server on lockdown. In a few days, we can go back to my minor-filled Discord like nothing ever happened. He then followed up and said that his mental health is taking a big blow right now. He might have to stop streaming for a bit, automatically making it about him. All this shit that happened in his server, it's such a mental health hazard. Oh my god. I've said it plenty of times in these videos, mental health is a serious concern for people, and when you make light of it like this, only using it to try to shield yourself from criticism and the shitty things you did, it's one of the worst things you as a person can do. Especially you, Nova, a person who claims to care about things like mental health and stuff like that so greatly, to constantly shit on it and abuse it by using it like this is just a bad look. And so, finally, you might think, did Nova come to his senses? Well, kind of. Not really, but let's just see what happens here. Because the next step in this is Nova talking to the mod team, and they all agree that the server should be 18 plus. Now here's the catch though. What server are they saying should be 18 plus? Well, the new server, of course, because, you know, if this one was such a disaster, maybe we need another. So Nova says, alright, so talks of the mods and I making a server for 18 plus are in the works. This server will remain the same, I will just not be as active as the other one. So basically, right, he's saying, hey everyone in this minor-filled Discord, I'm going to be making an 18 plus Discord. I'm not going to be deleting this one's going to stay completely the same, but I'm probably not going to be in here as much. So see ya. You know, I was going to leave this minor-filled Discord that's already a mess with people doing disgusting shit in it. I'm just going to leave it here, not my problem no more. I'm going to move to another one that's strictly 18 plus. And it's like, Nova, that's great, but why not get rid of this one? You know, a lot of people have said that he shouldn't delete it because people need to get evidence, and I've seen people actually already archive the server, so there's nothing left to be archived. Nova needs to have no types of contact with kids whatsoever as soon as possible. And that's why I wanted the server taken down so greatly. I saw a few people in the comments criticizing me for that, and I just wanted to let people know that that's the only reason why. I don't want Nova to have, like, contact with any of these miners for another fucking second. Like, here's another screenshot of a user in the server asking somebody, hey, aren't you underaged? And Nova himself responds with, at this point, I don't give a fuck. Like, are you serious? Like, this is the level we're at right now. Nova's just blatantly out in the open, yeah, I don't care. Like, you know, the other day I talked about this, and I thought Nova would come out and go, no, I always wanted it to be 18 plus, and that's that. But he's just like, yeah, he still wants kids in there, and he's not hiding that. But what he is trying to do is act like there's no nefarious means behind this, and I call bullshit on that. You would not be keeping around that minor Discord and moving to an 18 plus one if you actually cared about this, Nova. For some reason, you want to still be able to talk to all those miners in that other one, and you being the owner will be the one who has the most access to them. Why do you think this rubs people the wrong way so much? Because we know your history and we know what you've done in Discords with miners before. And so last night, myself and Kiwi went live with an episode of Too High for Stupid on a Monday to talk about all this. And Nova, after getting wind of this, showed up in chat all pissed off. We banned him, we talked about all these screenshots and all this, and Nova had a pretty hardcore response, saying to everybody in that server, to everyone coming from Kiwi's stream, just know I'm about to ruin their whole fucking careers. Watch out. Their time is numbered. No, whoa. I don't know how our time is numbered, what Nova has up his sleeve, like what trump card he's about to play, but I'm terrified, because every time one of these guys, White Bowser, Jupiter, Nova, have said this, each time it's just completely happened.
Oh shit, yo, people, I just realized the stream is over an hour and 20 minutes. The last one was 9 hours 41, so now finally hit the 11-hour goal for today. Oh man, I'm never doing 11 hours in a day again, but yeah, that's crazy. I think I'm gonna end the stream here. Finally. Sadly, the last stream cut out at 9 hours 41 minutes, so it's not exactly 11 hours, but I did do 11 hours of streaming today. And that's good enough. By far good enough.